Welcome to episode 83.
Which is crazy.
I know.
83 episodes.
It's
Who
crazy
are we?
because it feels like it's so interesting. It feels like both a lifetime,
I know.
but also like it's been a couple months
It's
since we've been
crazy.
doing this.
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. So for all of you who are new here, our anniversary is October 1st because of course it is.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, we're doing it.
We need to talk about something.
Oh.
Now, I'm going to use the word allegedly so we don't get sued.
Oh yeah. Can we not get sued?
But
Mhm.
who is following the story about Garth Brooks right now? Can we talk about that?
The way I want this documentary or like this movie
I know.
is next level. Not only that, but even if he is not a murderer, I'm like, guys, can we make a movie about this? Because how brilliant.
But also, okay, so for everyone who doesn't know right now, there is an alleged rumor or whatever, but he's suing over it. So there's something there. There was somebody who tracked his concerts, his whereabouts, where he was living, what he was doing, where he was traveling, and all this shit. People have been there's over 130 missing people. And wherever he is, that's where they go missing. So either we're going to hear about the craziest serial killer of all time, and it's Garth Brooks, who, when I heard, I was like, nah, like it's Garth Brooks, or Garth Brooks has a serial killer following him.
I was gonna say either that or it's a fan. It's like a mega fan who goes to all his concerts.
Right?
Either way, not great.
So,
but I'm fascinated.
I can't stop watching.
I can't stop. I know.
Like
I know,
I'm
it's
in
insane.
it and I am like shooketh. I'm shooketh, guys. I'm shooketh.
She's fully shooketh. Yeah. Well, we'll have to keep watching that because hello, like I need.
Okay, but is there some kind of weird, like, okay, either way, no one should be killing anyone, and I am not supporting that.
Let's not kill people.
Let's not kill people. Let's not kidnap people. However,
no.
Why, if there is a serial killer, why am I like, please let it be Garth Brooks?
You're like, of all the people, it would be great if it was Garth.
Because, and this is the thing, because like, if you told me years ago when he was popping off, right? Like years and years ago, oh, he's going to be accused of being a serial killer, I'd be like, what the fuck kind of fucking shit is this? But now, because all I do is think about serial killers and psychopathy and like all this shit, I'm like, I could see it. I could see it.
You're like, this could be it. I know.
He's attractive.
There's so many.
He's like, you would always trust Garth Brooks.
I would trust Garth Brooks with anything. Like
if
before
Garth Brooks invited me to his hotel room, I'm not saying no. Because it's like, Garth freaking Brooks.
I'll be right there, Garthy.
Yeah. So stay tuned. We have to follow this right through.
We're going to follow it right through. And it's so funny that you say this because I have a funny feel like this weekend, and it's probably because I went deep on Garth Brooks. This weekend, I have been being fed every conspiracy theory online.
Okay, before we get into the story, there's one more thing that I need to share with you guys because my husband thinks I'm fucking crazy.
All right.
Hear me out. Okay, everybody just take this for what it is. Who else thinks the aliens are coming? Or do we think it's a conspiracy? Because what is it? Is it 3A Alta or something? There's that big...
I feel like you're deeper into this than I am.
So there is a meteor.
Okay.
And a lot of people are saying, and a lot of very like valuable, very credited sources are saying that it is not a meteor. And they were saying it was going to hit Earth in November. Well, now they're saying it's coming in September. How are you not into this? All I think of is, okay, and here's my theory on this. Please listen to me, guys. I just need someone to listen to my bullshit because my husband just howls.
This is your soapbox. So go off.
Okay. So, you know, all this shit's going on in the States and Trump is like basically declaring martial law and all this bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah.
what if it has nothing to do with the drug cartels? What if he's preparing for the aliens?
Okay, so without like getting political, I don't know if Trump is on it that much. I don't know if he's with it that much. Like you're giving him a whole lot of credit, and I
Fair.
don't know if it's
I mean,
earned
he's
in this
definitely not
case.
with it. He's a
Well, this is
whole
it. Like I'm
maybe
like that's
Trump is an alien. Have we ever
okay. So
considered that?
this is what I was going to say to you. The reason that I'm not super on board with the alien thing is because I think they're already here.
But
So
what is
I'm like,
going on? Or is
whatever.
this the world's biggest conspiracy where they cause mass panic in people and then all of a sudden we've lost everything? I have been like, guys, I'm in it.
Guys, Ashley had a bed rot day on Sunday, and this is what happens
Yeah.
every single time.
Yeah. I'm
We
I'm
go deep.
oh, bed rot day was the best. Except I ate so much candy
I
yesterday.
know you
I
did.
ate like probably 10,000 sour keys, and now it feels like a fucking lawnmower ran through my mouth.
You know what, though? You're so lucky that your mouth is the only thing that's bothering you because if I ate that much candy, my whole body would shut down.
They're stay
I
tuned.
wouldn't be functioning today.
No, it was so good. Oh God.
So, I
All
mean, good
right.
for you.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's get into this because when I first thought of triggered the podcast, when I first like my brain gave birth to this idea, it was like 7 or 8 years ago, and I would lay in bed and I mean, now I know it's manifesting. I didn't at the time, but I would lay in bed and I would manifest like I would picture myself doing exactly what we're doing right now.
Yeah, yeah.
And there were certain cases that I was like, oh, yeah, I'll cover that one. Oh, I'll do that one. And this is one of those cases. So I've been following this case my whole life because it happened only 3 years after I was born. And it has always, this was one of those cases where I was like, maybe I'm into gore and morbidity. Like maybe I'm into something
I'm
that
not
would
like the
most
other
people
kids.
yeah, exactly. That most people would be like, "No, that's gross, and I don't wanna read about it," where I was, like, poring over anything I could get my
Same.
hands on. So we're gonna get right into it, and I'm actually and I know you've heard of this one, but I'm interested to see if you actually know all the details.
Okay.
So we're going to Gainesville, Florida. It's late August 1990. Now, Gainesville is a college town in that shimmering, swampy heat, which we just experienced. So I'm there.
Oh,
I get it.
yeah.
There's apartments clustered beneath live oaks, students dragging boxy TVs up stairwells and stringing Christmas lights, even though classes haven't started. But they were starting soon. They were starting end of August. But then, like a match struck in a tinder dry field, terror found oxygen. It's the morning of August 20th. Christina Powell's parents showed up at the Williamsburg Village Apartments and asked complex manager Barbara to check on their daughter. See, Christina was a freshman at the University of Florida. Barbara said initially she wasn't concerned and that she saw this often. Kids are out of home for the first time.
Oh,
Parents are panicking because, she didn't answer the phone. And it's just they've went on a bit of a bender. They're exploring their freedom. So Barbara
oh,
was like, no worries, because the parents have shown up at her office. So Barbara says, don't worry about it. Let me take my master key. I'll go up. I'll check on the apartment. They're probably in there sleeping. Don't worry about it.
100%. Just passed out in bags of McDonald's, you
Yeah,
know?
right, right. Barbara goes up to the apartment of Christina, and she had two roommates, Sonia Larson and Elsa Strapp. Her master key wouldn't work. And she was like, she had gone back down and said to the parents, I don't know what's going on with my master key. It's not working. I did knock. There's no answer. And the parents insisted, like, they were like, you have to find a way in. We're very concerned. So Barbara was like, this is probably going to come out of my pay. But she goes up and she breaks a window. And she breaks the window and she says immediately, sickening smell escaped the apartment through the shattered window.
Listen, there is only one sickening smell that we talk about on here, and
I
it
know.
is decomp.
And it's always not good. So Barbara's a badass and I love her. Barbara climbs in through the broken window.
Okay, if you break a window and you smell decomp, are you climbing in?
I am immediately calling
Yeah.
911.
There's no way. Good for her
Immediately
being
calling
such a
911.
brave little
Yeah,
beaver.
she was like, "I gotta go check on this." And to be fair, I mean, you and I have both smelled decomp,
Mm-hmm.
but to be fair, for someone who has never experienced that, it could smell like garbage. It could smell like
Fair.
rotting meat. Like, you wouldn't immediately go to
Because it is rotting
bodies are
meat.
rotting. Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Ash.
Here to help.
So she climbs in the window, and the scene that greets her probably haunted her dreams for the rest of her life. On the bed, there was the mutilated body of a woman, legs spread wide open, facing the door, arms above her head. They needed dental records to later identify her as Sonia Larson. So, the roommate. Downstairs, they found Christina similarly posed. There was evidence they had both been raped, and Christina was also mutilated, although not as severely as Sonia. So
Okay.
Sonia, like they couldn't even recognize her. Christina, they knew it was
That's,
Christina.
I can't. That's
I know.
awful.
Christina's nipples had been removed. Both girls had been stabbed multiple times in the back. Despite the brutality of the murders, there wasn't a lot of blood. The killer had cleaned up significantly, and there was evidence that he had washed both bodies in detergent.
So fucked up. Can I ask you a
Sadly,
question?
yeah.
What do you think he did with the nipples?
You know what? This is a question I will ponder for the rest of my
I
life.
know, right?
Because
Did you
what,
eat them? Did you keep
where
them?
did you put them?
You put them on top of your nipples and wear them as an ornament? You sick fuck.
Right? Like,
What are you
yeah,
doing
he
with
went
nipples?
pretty hard. Yeah, I know.
It's
I
fucking
know.
weird.
Because, like, murdering someone isn't enough.
Right, let's take their nipples.
I know. It's absolutely
Fucking
awful.
strange.
So, sadly, once police showed up and they started their investigation, Elsa showed up. So, she hadn't been there that night.
Yeah. Could
And
you
she
imagine?
came through.
You're just like, I'm gonna go home to my roomies. And they're like, yeah, no, they were brutally murdered. And you would have been too. Like, it'd fuck
I
you up
know.
for the rest of your
Well,
life.
that's just it. Like, and you and I know people who suffer with, we know people with survivor's guilt, and I
Hmm.
can't imagine what hers was like
And the
because
trauma, like,
you would have
holy
been
fuck.
one of the victims. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. All right. It's the next day. It's August 25th, 1990. And Krista Hoyt doesn't show up to work. She worked at the Alachua County Sheriff's Office. Apparently, she was like in the office. It did paperwork, administrative stuff. Krista was very reliable. So they sent deputies over to her place right away to see if she was okay because her manager even said for Krista not to show up and not to call, something was wrong. Like she
Yeah.
couldn't get to a phone type thing. So they knew something was up. The deputies looked around her place and knocked repeatedly at the door with no answer. They kneeled down to see if they can peek through a crack in her Venetian blinds, and they see the absolute unthinkable. They said that they could see Krista on the bed, and they did see some blood, but it wasn't until they got into the apartment that the real horror began.
Oh,
When they broke into the front door, they are greeted by a bookshelf that was strategically placed facing the front door, so it was the first thing you saw when you went in. And placed on the bookshelf was Krista's severed head,
like,
just staring at them.
I feel like at first you would walk in and you'd be like, is that
Of course, because your brain, our minds are not meant to even process that.
crazy?
So they go a bit further into the apartment, and on her bed, she was posed sitting up on the edge, slumped over at the waist.
I've seen this crime scene photo.
Her torso had been split from sternum to pelvis, avoiding all of her internal organs.
It's crazy.
Her nipples were laid neatly next to her body, and her breasts had been removed and wrapped in paper like takeout, but it looked like the killer had forgotten to take them with him. So he had intended to bring her breasts, and he left them behind.
He intended to bring her breast without the nipples. You
Huh.
know?
Like, and when we get into who did this, like, I need you to keep all these little details in mind because what the fuck is wrong with you?
I know.
Honestly. So While all of this is truly horrific, it was the mirrors that gave me chills because there were mirrors from around Krista's home that the murderer had set up in such a way that even if the scene became too much for you to look at and you had to turn away, you couldn't. He strategically placed them. And, like, that I like going into the mind of someone who is this deranged. And the image of this man placing, like, standing in different locations and
Making
looking
sure you are not
and
gonna not
making
see my
sure
work.
that you're going to have to look at it no matter where you are in
Yeah.
that apartment. What the fuck?
Because, keeping in mind, like, minds of people like this, what he's creating is to him like a piece of art. He is proud of what
Yeah.
he's doing. So he
Yes.
wants to see every angle. He wants everyone to see every angle.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally crazy. Police immediately knew the cases were connected. The knife used seemed to be the same. All three victims had their clothing cut off their bodies, and even they found like some adhesive tape on their hands. It was all the same. And they had all been raped and stabbed in the back. So now there is mass panic and hysteria in Gainesville, Florida.
Could you fucking imagine? I'd be
I
like, well,
can't
guess what? Your
imagine.
college experience, kiddos, coming home.
Yeah, well, and
There's no
that's
way.
exactly what happened. Students and citizens alike were locking themselves in their homes, pushing furniture up against their doors and windows because they were terrified. These women, their doors were locked. He broke into each of their homes.
It's crazy.
A task force was quickly assembled and leads came pouring in, close to 7,000 to be exact, which I can't imagine.
You also have to think, like, if there's 7,000 leads coming in, how many fucking weirdos are out there?
Well, and the thing is, like, in the interview with some of the deputies, they were saying, like, people were panicking.
Yeah.
It was pure panic. And so what was happening is anyone that looked even remotely out of place, they were getting called.
I wonder how long
It
it's
was
gonna take
crazy.
for people to be like, that blonde there with the boobs, definitely up to something.
She looks sus. So like I said, like students were breaking their leases saying like, fuck it, I'm not doing this. But this monster wasn't done yet. So Krista was August 25th. On August 27th, Tracy Paulette's and Manny Taboda were found slaughtered in their shared apartment. So this was a bit of a stray from this killer's MO. Up until now, and including Tracy, his victims were brunettes with brown eyes. But Manny was 200 pounds and 6 feet tall and a former football star. He was found in his room, stabbed more than 30 times with defensive wounds that showed how hard he fought back.
The thought
He was
about
found
this, do you think that this could be because Manny wasn't supposed to be there? It was like, shit. Yeah.
100% because also Manny wasn't posed. Manny was found dead where he died was where he was
So
left.
Manny was basically just killed because he was like in the way. He should have
Yeah,
been there.
so I imagine the murderer saw Tracy, wanted Tracy, didn't
Mhm.
realize she had a giant football guy as her roommate. They weren't lovers, they weren't in a
Yeah.
relationship, but they were roommates. Tracy, however, was found clean and dragged into the hallway and posed. Her hair was still wet when they found her.
So he had been there not long
Mhm.
before.
That's right.
Because let's think, how long does it take for your hair to air dry? 2 hours?
Yeah, mine take 2 or 3 hours
Yeah.
depending on. Yeah, so it had happened so quickly. Now, as I said, there were tons of leads coming in day and night, but one name kept coming up over and over again: Edward Lewis Humphreys. Edward was a 19-year-old University of Florida freshman. Police started watching him carefully on August 20th, so the day after Tracy and Manny are found, and by August 30th, Edward was arrested, but not for the murders. See, on August 30th, Edward had been arrested for assaulting his 79-year-old grandma, which, fuck you, Edward.
That's disgusting.
Yeah,
Poor Nana.
I know. Despite the fact that she dropped the charges, police kept him in custody because they were like, we got you and we think you're responsible for this shit. He was questioned extensively without a lawyer, which immediately, no, no, no.
Mm-mm.
We can't do this.
We can't do this because this is how shit gets thrown out of court.
Exactly, exactly. Now, Edward wasn't this sweet boy. People who knew him said he had started acting really weird in the last couple of years. They said he was always talking about Satan and he had this newfound fascination with knives. He would say things to his friends like, I just got a new knife that could flay the skin right off your body. Which,
Was he in school?
yeah, so he was a freshman at the University of Florida.
What was he taking?
I don't even know.
I
don't know, and I'm going to tell you why we don't know very soon. Edward also looked the part. His face was scarred from an accident that had happened when he was younger. In 88, only a few years prior to the murders, he had had a bad case of mono and afterwards was diagnosed with manic depression. So it almost sounds like his experience with mono, however sick he was not good, and maybe it messed him up mentally. Despite any hard evidence, the police were convinced that this was their guy, and the murders stopped the moment he was apprehended. So it made sense. They were like, this is him. Newspapers and the evening news were flooded with images of Edward, the psycho killer. Students began coming back to school, and Gainesville slowly returned to normal because they felt good. They were like, they caught him. He's a psychopath. It's Edward. We're good. But Edward's family stood by him and his innocence, saying there was no way he did these things. One thing his brother said actually really stood out to me. He said there was no way Edward was as clean as the murderer. Like, he was sure. He was like, listen, if there's nothing else, I promise you, he could never have cleaned up the way this murderer did.
And like, statistically speaking, if you were going to guess, serial killers, because that's what we're dealing with now at this point, try and blend in.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and that was not his story at all. He was not trying to blend in. He was like the weirdest dude ever. And guess what? A few months later, the DNA results finally came in, and Edward was not a match. A wild goose chase, and police kept this detail out of the media due to the fact that Gainesville and Florida were just starting to get back to normal.
Yeah, so you're not
they
going
were
to
like,
be like, oh,
fuck.
psych.
Sorry, remember we told you that Edward was our guy? He's not.
It's crazy.
I know. Police had very little to go on here. They had a profile, some tool marks that looked like a flat-headed screwdriver had been used to pry open a door at one of the scenes, duct tape residue, and semen with type B blood markers, and his signature of posing his victims. But that's all they had.
And really, like, we had no DNA testing back then. So you could be spreading your seed all over.
Yeah, there was DNA testing, but not to the extent that it is now.
And you had to have had a criminal record.
Yeah.
So
yeah, or you were not in the database. Exactly.
Right.
They knew sooner or later that they would have to tell the world that it wasn't Edward Humphreys. And they were kind of hoping that they would have the real killer by the time they were like, oh, sorry, Edward, our bad. But the break did not come from Gainesville. It came in a chain reaction that started back in Louisiana. In Shreveport, the year before, 3 members of the Grissom family, Tom, who was 55, his daughter Julie, who was 24, and Julie's nephew Sean, who was only 8, had been murdered in a way that looked like a grim handwriting sample for what would happen in Florida. They were staged, there was postmortem manipulation. Those murders had remained unsolved, but a woman in Shreveport, her name was Cindy, couldn't let go of an itch in her brain. A drifter named Danny Rolling had said things, super dark things about knives and about leaving for a place with beautiful brunette girls. So Cindy is also a badass. And like, hats off to you, Cindy, because Cindy's sitting here looking at what's going on in Gainesville, remembering her conversations with this drifter who it kind of sounds like he had come through and her husband had like let him come over a couple times, crash on the couch. And she's sitting there and she's looking at the pictures of these women. And it's like playing in her head, him being like, I want to go somewhere with beautiful brunettes. And she's looking at these pictures and she's remembering all the dark shit he had said. So she calls in a tip to Gainesville. Florida investigators fly up to Louisiana and they compare notes. The signatures match. Like, it looked like the exact same. There were even little tiny things that they were like, "Oh my god,
Those little
it's the same
details, you're
person."
like,
Yeah.
because people have patterns. Like people, they will, because all humans are creatures of habit. So if something
Yes.
works and they like it,
Yeah.
they will continue that
They will
pattern.
continue to do it, exactly. And so we know that the blood type from the semen was type B, and that's exactly the same profile as the murders in Louisiana. So they're like, "Shit, this is him."
Yeah.
And then they realized they already had Danny. Danny had been arrested September 1990. So remember, the first murder happens, we assume, August 3rd because the girls were found August 24th. And then remember how the murder stopped when they
Hmm.
apprehended Edward? Well, it's because Danny was in prison for something else. 10 days after the last Gainesville murders, a masked gunman robbed a Winn-Dixie in Ocala, about 40 miles south. Police chased the getaway car and the driver crashed. They arrested Danny on robbery charges and booked him into the Marion County Jail. He had a record for armed robberies, and the tools they seized from his camp in the woods near Gainesville, screwdrivers and a knife, looked an a lot like the implements that had scarred the apartment window open by trying to get into it, like the frames and doors. Also, what they collected from his like weird encampment in the bush was a tape cassette. Now, they had never listened to it because it really wasn't that important. But now they did. And the tape began with, "This is Danny Rolling. And no matter what anyone thinks about Danny Rolling, this is not the road I really wanted, but it is the road that is before me now." They matched his DNA to the crime scenes shortly after this. The Gainesville Ripper had been locked up on a totally different crime, waiting while the town sat sleepless. So it was literally just coincidence that the crime stopped when Edward was arrested because Danny was arrested a few days after.
Okay. I know this has nothing to do with this case. However,
Mhm.
this is what I think happened with Jack the Ripper.
Interesting.
Hmm.
That's fair. That's fair.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Some petty
No, I can
bullshit
totally get
crime.
behind that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I can totally get behind that. So Danny admitted to committing murders, but didn't go into a whole lot of detail right away. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Danny, not as like a pity thing, oh, feel bad for him,
No.
but more just because sometimes, especially the crimes he committed, I want to know. I want to know where you came from. I want to know what your
Yeah.
upbringing was like. So he was born in Shreveport, Louisiana in 1954. His father was a local cop and a Korean War vet, and by multiple accounts, an absolutely cruel human being. He humiliated and beat his family, and they said that he would beat them for things like they were breathing wrong. So just like an awful situation. And he reportedly told Danny all the time that he was unwanted. Like he'd be like, "Oh my God, I didn't want you. I don't know why your mom didn't have an abortion." Oh yeah, like he was awful, awful,
Just
awful.
a fucking asshole.
Yeah, like get out of here. As we know, Ash, abuse is not destiny. But in Rowling's telling and in court diagnoses later, those early years became the rot in the foundation. And
Yeah.
he blamed a lot of it on that. So we know like there's tons of people who go through abuse and don't end up murdering people. And
But, the thing that I don't understand, and like right away, I'm like, that doesn't track for me because his dad was the abuser towards him, right?
yes.
Where did he obviously develop this hatred for women?
Okay. So you know what is so interesting? His mom was a brunette with brown eyes.
Do you
And
think it
I
was that she
think,
didn't protect him?
yes, because from like when I was reading about them and their upbringing and their marriage, she had multiple opportunities to leave him and didn't.
Okay.
And I
So he
feel
blamed
like
her, right?
maybe, yeah, maybe. So that was kind of the beginning of Danny. And he just drifted, committed robberies, went in and out of prison. He failed to hold steady jobs. He played guitar and drew. And that was basically him in a nutshell. And he was super dark. Like the Cindy said, like the shit he was telling her husband was to the point where her husband one day came in and he was like, "So he's got to go."
Yeah.
He can't stay here anymore.
Good call, husband.
Yeah, no kidding. 3 months before Gainesville, in May 1990, Danny fought with his father and pulled the trigger. He shot James Rowling in the face.
Was
Now,
he
his dad,
wanted for that crime?
no, he wasn't. So like he admitted to it, but the dad survived, so it was just like a domestic dispute.
Not attempted murder charges?
I don't know. I don't know how he got away with this. I don't know what the deal was, but he did it. In 1991, charges were filed for the murders, for the Gainesville murders. And in 1994, after years of waiting and a jury seated for a penalty hearing, Danny Rowling stood up in court and pled guilty to all 5 Gainesville murders. He would later be sentenced to death, which no shit.
Yes, please.
And before he went to the chamber, he also confessed to the Shreveport triple homicide. So
Okay.
up until that point, he was just like, wouldn't talk about it. But then near the end, he was like, okay. Now, there's a part of this story that I saved for the end. And I saved it just for you, my love. There's a twist when he's in prison that I could have probably done an entire episode just on this.
Do tell.
But I was like, no, we're gonna get it done in one. So there's a moment from the hearings that lives in Gainesville's lore and true crime television cuts because it felt like we were watching a boundary get crossed in real time. So hear me
Okay.
out. Danny Rowland had started writing songs and poems from prison. He drew demonic figures. He invented alter egos, including something named Gemini, which I'm like, all right. During one court appearance, the judge asks him, all right, Mr. Rowling, do you have anything to say? And he says, yes, if it pleases the court. And the judge says, yeah, of course, stand up. And he stands up. He turns toward a woman in the gallery who was a true crime writer named Sondra London and sang her a jailhouse love song he had written for her.
What? Could you imagine?
And it's like, from the moment that I saw you.
Oh my fuck.
I knew it in your eyes. And like the judge is like, order, absolutely not.
Imagine being
and
on the
he's just like,
receiving end of that.
well, she could imagine being on the receiving end of that. And that's what we're going to get into right now because we need to talk about Sondra. So like, guys, true crime writers were basically like Ashley and I in the 90s. When there were not podcasts, you had true crime writers. Okay.
Right.
So we need to remember this when we speak about Sondra London. She wasn't a casual pen pal. She had already co-authored a book with another convicted killer. With Rowling, she was enamored when this guy who wasn't telling anyone about what he did and the details of his murders, when he reached out to her and asked to tell her his story, she was just like, I couldn't believe it. What an honor.
An honor?
Uh-huh. So together they produced The Making of a Serial Killer, the true story of the Gainesville murders in the killer's own words, published by Feral House. So they did a whole book. The book includes Rowling's confessions and his prison artwork.
No. I have so many problems with this.
It only gets better. London also facilitated the publication of Rowling's writings and the sale of his drawings and autographs. The public reaction was volcanic because outrage that anyone like him was profiting off of the brutal slayings of these innocent people.
This is absurd.
And there was this fear in this case, and this is interesting for you and I, that we were turning killers into marquee characters and a hard legal question. Who owns the story of a crime?
Right. Right.
Ash looks
I'm like,
sugar. Right? So Florida answered with law. Although New York's original Son of Sam law had been struck down on First Amendment grounds in 1991.
That's what I was going to say.
Florida retooled its statutes. In 1998, a Florida judge ruled that the state could seize money tied to Rowling's confessions and creative output, even when those proceeds were paid to London. The case was unusually pointed, and the judge wrote about their special relationship because Sondra London fell in love.
How?
I know.
Like, what?
I
Sondra
know.
needs therapy and a lot of it.
Danny was her fiance, and they apparently had, now she denies this, but like the proof is in the pudding, my love. She had a cyberspace marriage, which is something out of like, I'm actually going to post the excerpt on our social media because everybody needs to read this. Because it was like, I don't even know how to describe it. It was like Alien B takes Alien A as their
Shut up.
forbidden love. No, it was like next level.
She's a
Next level.
fucking lunatic.
Yeah. So basically, Florida was like, so no,
Let's not do that.
absolutely not. And there was about $20,000 that had been tied to the tabloid articles and the book. And the judge made sure that all of the profits were somehow directed back to the victims' families.
Thank fucking
Because
God.
absolutely
That's
not.
the only normal thing I've heard this entire episode.
I know.
Because it's
crazy.
crazy.
Crazy. He's singing to her, and it's so interesting. And I'm going to post the video of this as well. It's so interesting because he's singing his song like, with your beautiful lips and your swinging hips. Like he's just fucking feeling it. And Sondra's standing there and she's like looking at the judge and looking back at Danny and looking at the judge. I would be like, you're an embarrassment, ma'am. Like, what the fuck did you just do?
Like, and also at that point, like, she should have, like, she is literally fucking helping this psycho relive his crimes.
Sent
Like,
him,
it's sick.
they sent thousands of love letters back and forth.
I don't even agree with that. If you are gone away for a violent crime, okay, so someone goes away for robbery. Yeah, you should be allowed to contact your loved ones and whatever. But if you're a fucking serial killer, the fuck out of here.
Cutting people's nipples off?
Hello?
You don't get to have a girlfriend, my friend.
No.
Get out of here.
Every time you say that, I feel a certain kind of way about my boobs. Like, I just feel like,
well, no shit, because it's just, that's depraved. That is like deep-seated fucking bullshit. So after years of appeals, because he appealed over and over and over again.
Of course he did.
Because Danny didn't want to die, Ash.
He's in love, Chantal.
Yeah, I know. He needed to marry his alien. Like, come on.
I can't.
He was executed by lethal injection at Florida State Prison on October 2006.
Was she there?
Probably. He didn't apologize to the families who were in the witness room. He sang a gospel song. So
if
he went out there.
Okay,
he went out praising Jesus.
I have something to say, and I don't know what is wrong with me. But like, if I had to be executed, and I don't know what is wrong with me, I would want it to be kind of funny. And I'd play, you know, I like my chicken fried.
Can't with you. I cannot with you.
That's all I can picture.
Oh, shit. Yeah. So he was pronounced out at 7 p.m. October 25th. He also left behind a handwritten confession to the Shreveport murders, and the town finally exhaled a little bit, even though they had experienced the most horror I could even imagine.
This is crazy.
And absolutely crazy. So a part of this that is interesting, and it kind of ruined it for me. I have to be honest with you. I was a little bit like, fuck, this story changed pop culture because a screenwriter grew up and wrote the first Scream, a campus nightmare, sharpened into the meta slasher. And it was based off of this.
Yeah.
He was inspired by this.
I did know that.
And I was a little bit like, oh, because I love Scream.
I know.
I love the Scream franchise.
I do too. I really do.
But it is what it is. You know, it is what it is. We all have this morbid curiosity where we like to watch these movies. And what do you do?
Speaking of movies, horror movies, before we go, Chantal and I got a little private screening.
Oh, I know.
From
this incredible human that we will tell you all about very soon.
Yes.
But yeah, very exciting. And as soon as we get the go ahead, we will share it with all of you.
We're really excited.
I know. It's really cool. It was really cool.
It's really cool.
I felt like I needed like loafers.
I was,
and
yeah.
a green velour jacket to watch
Yes,
this
girl.
screening. Like, I was like,
Yes.
hello. So thank you for listening to the absolutely awful story of the Gainesville Ripper.
Mm-hmm.
My heart breaks for the families. It really bothered me about her parents, even having to be there when that was all discovered like
That's
that. I
no,
can't
no.
I can't even imagine. So thoughts are with them, and I hope that over the years you guys have been able to find some kind of peace, some
Mm-hmm.
kind of joy again in whatever you can.
Yeah, for sure.
And yeah, so that is today's episode. Thank
Thank
you
you
for
for
listening.
sharing with me.
You're welcome. Okay, so you just reminded me of something before I go. When I watched Danny Rolling sing his love song to Sondra, I was like, oh my God, I do that all the time. I turn everything into a song.
I know you do.
And I was like, get the fuck out of here, Danny. I hate you.
Well,
But
Telly and I
anyway,
are having a super fun slumber party over the weekend, a girls' like
I
weekend
know. I'm
adventure.
so
And if I don't
excited.
come back, it's because she sang to me and then killed me. Just saying.
I would never. I would never. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening. We will see you all on Friday.
Alrighty.